The unexpected arrival. On a distant planet, the alien warlords were in the middle of their daily routines. They were powerful and confident, ruling over their world with advanced technology and fierce armies. Their planet was full of tall, spiky buildings and strange, glowing plants. The air was filled with the buzz of alien machines and the chatter of alien soldiers. One day, something strange happened. A human spaceship, sleek and shiny, appeared in the sky. The warlords had never seen anything like it before. It was much smaller than their own massive ships, but moved with incredible speed. The spaceship landed in a clearing near their main city. The leader of the warlords, General Zorak, watched the landing from his high tower. His face was stern, and his eyes narrowed with curiosity and concern. "What are those?" he wondered aloud, turning to his advisors. They had never encountered humans before, and the sight of the spaceship made them uneasy. As the spaceship's doors opened, the warlords sent a group of their best soldiers to investigate. The soldiers marched confidently toward the ship, their weapons at the ready. They were prepared for anything, or so they thought. From the spaceship emerged a small group of humans. They were dressed in uniforms that looked simple compared to the warlords' elaborate gear. The humans were not armed with the usual heavy weapons of the warlords. Instead, they carried small devices and gadgets that seemed harmless at first glance. The warlords watched from a distance, unsure of what to make of these strange visitors. General Zorak ordered his soldiers to stay hidden and observe. "We must see what these humans are up to," he said. "Do not act unless they show hostility." The humans began setting up equipment on the ground. They set up a large flat device and started to make strange noises. A bright light flashed and a holographic image appeared in the air. It showed maps, charts, and strange symbols. The warlords were amazed. They had never seen such technology before. The warlord soldiers were curious, but also wary. They kept their distance, watching the humans with a mix of fear and fascination. The humans seemed to be testing their equipment and taking measurements of the area. They did not appear to be preparing for battle. After some time, the humans began to communicate through a loudspeaker. "Greetings to the inhabitants of this planet," the speaker said in a calm, clear voice. "We come in peace. We wish to learn about your world and offer our assistance." The warlords were taken aback. They had expected the humans to be aggressive or demanding. Instead, they seemed friendly and polite. This was a new and confusing situation for them. General Zorak decided it was time to act. He called for a meeting with his top advisors and warlords. They gathered in a large, dark room filled with holographic maps and alien artifacts. The atmosphere was tense. "The humans have shown us their technology," Zorak said. "It is unlike anything we have seen before. We must decide how to respond." Some of the warlords wanted to attack the humans. They believed that the best way to deal with unknown threats was to strike first. Others, however, argued that the humans might be valuable allies. Their technology could offer new opportunities for their planet. "Their technology could be a threat," one warlord said. "We should test it to see how strong it really is. But what if their intentions are peaceful?" Another warlord argued. "We could learn much from them. We must approach this situation carefully." The debate grew heated. Some warlords wanted to gather more information before making a decision, while others were eager to act. General Zorak knew he had to make a choice. After much discussion, Zorak decided to send a small delegation to meet with the humans. He chose his most trusted soldiers and advisors for the task. They were to go unarmed and try to understand the humans' intentions. As the delegation approached the human camp, the humans greeted them warmly. They offered food and drinks, and their technology seemed to be working perfectly. The warlords were impressed but remained cautious. They carefully observed everything the humans did. The humans spoke openly about their mission. They explained that they were explorers, seeking to learn about other worlds and cultures. They offered to share knowledge and technology with the warlords if they were willing to cooperate. The warlords were still unsure. They had seen the humans' technology and were amazed by it. It was clear that the humans were not an ordinary species, but the warlords had to decide whether to trust them or not. As the sun set on the alien planet, the warlords and humans faced each other across a new and uncertain frontier. The humans had arrived with their impossible technology, and the warlords were left to ponder what to do next. The future of their world might depend on the choices they made in the coming days. The warlords had seen something they could not fully understand. And as they looked up at the stars, they knew their world had changed forever. The impossible tech. The next morning, the alien warlords gathered in their grand hall. General Zorak paced back and forth, his mind racing with thoughts about the human technology they had seen. His advisors and warlords waited, their faces showing a mix of curiosity and worry. "We must understand these humans and their technology better," Zorak said. "Their gadgets are unlike anything we have ever seen." One of the warlords, Commander Vrax, stepped forward. "We should test their technology. If it's as powerful as it seems, we need to know how to defend against it." Another warlord, Lady Rena, shook her head. "What if it's not a threat? What if they can help us? We need to be cautious and learn more before making any decisions." Zorak nodded. "Very well. We will start by observing them closely. No actions will be taken unless we have more information." At the human camp, the explorers continued their work. They set up various devices and equipment, creating a busy and fascinating scene. The warlord sent spies to watch from a distance, hidden behind large rocks and tall alien grasses. The humans were busy with their daily tasks. They used strange tools to measure energy levels in the environment. They also tested different materials with small, bright beams of light. The warlords watched in awe, unable to understand what these tools did or how they worked. One of the most impressive devices was a small, rectangular box that the humans carried with them. When they pressed a button on it, a holographic display popped up in the air. The display showed moving images, maps, and charts that changed as the humans interacted with them. The warlords had never seen such technology and were amazed. Commander Vrax, who had been observing closely, reported back to Zorak. "Their devices create images in the air. It's as if they have magic, but it's clearly technology." Zorak's eyes narrowed. "Magic or not, this technology could change everything. We need to see if we can understand how it works." The warlords decided to send a small team of engineers and scientists to examine the human equipment. The team, led by Engineer Creel, approached the humans with caution. The humans welcomed them and offered to explain their technology. They demonstrated how their devices worked, showing Creel and his team the inner workings of their gadgets. The humans spoke in simple, clear language, making it easier for the aliens to understand. Creel was fascinated by the technology. "This is amazing," he said. "Your devices seem to operate using principles we have never encountered before. How do they work?" One of the human engineers, a friendly woman named Sarah, smiled. "Our technology is based on advanced science and engineering. We use energy fields, magnetic forces, and complex algorithms to achieve these results. It's all about understanding and applying the laws of physics." Creel nodded, still amazed. "And you can create these effects so easily?" Sarah laughed. "It may seem easy to us, but it took many years of research and development. We've learned a lot over time." As the day went on, the warlords team continued to study the human technology. They took notes and recorded observations, trying to understand the principles behind the gadgets. Despite their efforts, the technology remained complex and somewhat mysterious. Meanwhile, General Zorak and the other warlords discussed their findings. "The humans' technology is indeed impressive," Zorak said, "but we must be careful. If their devices are so powerful, they could pose a serious threat." Lady Rena spoke up. "Or they could be a valuable ally. We should consider how we might benefit from this technology. Perhaps we could learn from them and improve our own systems." Zorak nodded. "That is a valid point. We must find a balance between caution and curiosity. We should explore how we can cooperate with the humans while remaining vigilant." The warlords agreed to send a delegation to negotiate with the humans. They wanted to explore the possibility of forming an alliance and sharing knowledge. The humans seemed open to cooperation, and the warlords hoped this could lead to a beneficial relationship. As night fell on the alien planet, the warlords looked up at the stars, reflecting on the day's events. The arrival of the humans had brought new challenges and opportunities. Their technology was a marvel, and it had the potential to change their world. The warlords were left with many questions. How would they handle this new technology? Could they trust the humans? And what did the future hold for their planet? As they prepared for the next steps, the warlords knew that their decisions would shape the course of their world. The impossible technology of the humans had opened a new chapter in their history, one filled with uncertainty and possibility. The journey had just begun, and the warlords were ready to face whatever came next. The future was uncertain, but they were determined to navigate the challenges ahead with wisdom and courage. Warlords' choices. The warlords gathered in their grand hall again. This time the room was filled with tension. General Zorak sat at the head of the table, surrounded by his most trusted advisors and warlords. The bright, glowing lights of the hall cast long shadows, making everyone look serious. "The human technology is far beyond anything we have," Zorak began, his voice steady. "We must decide how to handle this situation. There are many choices before us." Warlord Goran, a large and strong figure with a deep voice, spoke first. "We should act quickly. Their technology could be a threat. We need to strike before they become too powerful." Commander Vrax nodded in agreement. "Yes, we should test their strength. If their technology is as advanced as it seems, we must know how to defend against it. Better to be prepared now than regret it later." Lady Rena, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "But what if they are not a threat? What if they could be allies instead? We have seen their technology, but we have not seen their intentions. It might be better to learn from them and see if we can work together." The room fell silent as everyone considered her words. General Zorak leaned forward, his expression thoughtful. "Rena makes a good point. If the humans are willing to share their technology and knowledge, it could benefit us greatly. But how can we be sure they do not have hidden motives?" Warlord Drax, a sharp-minded strategist, suggested, "Perhaps we can test their intentions. We could send a small team to interact with them further and see how they respond. We should ask them directly what they want from us and what they expect in return." "An excellent idea," Zorak agreed. "We need to gather more information before making any decisions. But we must do so carefully. We cannot afford to appear weak or unprepared." Lady Rena took a deep breath and continued. "Also, we should consider the impact of our choice on our people. If we go to war, it could bring suffering and destruction. If we form an alliance, we must be ready to adapt to new ways and possibly change how we govern our world." Zorak looked around the room, seeing the mix of faces reflecting various thoughts and concerns. "We have always relied on our strength to maintain control. Now we face a situation where our strength alone may not be enough. We must decide whether to embrace this change or resist it." Goran grumbled. "Embracing change is risky. We don't know what the humans will do next. They might use their technology against us, or they might be plotting something we cannot see. But resisting change could also be dangerous," Rena countered. "If we ignore the opportunity to learn and grow, we could fall behind. Their technology could help us improve and protect our planet in ways we never imagined." The debate grew heated. Each warlord had their own perspective and concerns. Zorak realized that finding a solution would not be easy. The stakes were high, and every choice had potential consequences. Finally, Zorak made a decision. "We will send a delegation to meet with the humans. This team will include both military and diplomatic experts. They will gather information about the humans' true intentions and negotiate terms for cooperation." Vrax and Drax were assigned to lead the delegation. They were to approach the humans with caution, but also openness. Their mission was to explore the possibility of an alliance while ensuring that the warlords' interests were protected. As the delegation prepared for their mission, the warlords continued to discuss their options. Some were eager to see the results of the meeting, while others remained wary of the humans' true motives. The delegation arrived at the human camp, where they were greeted warmly. Sarah and other human representatives welcomed them and offered to show them more of their technology and explain their goals. The Warlords team carefully observed and asked many questions. They wanted to understand not only the technology, but also the humans' plans and how they viewed the future. The discussions were polite but tense, with both sides trying to gauge each other's sincerity. Back in the Warlords' Grand Hall, Zorak and the others waited anxiously for the delegation's report. The outcome of this meeting would determine the next steps for their planet and their people. As night fell, Zorak looked out over his city. The stars seemed distant and cold, a reminder of the vast unknown that lay beyond their world. The decision they faced was not just about technology, but about the future of their entire civilization. Would they embrace the new possibilities the humans offered, or would they cling to their old ways and risk falling behind? The choices they made now would shape their destiny in ways they could only begin to imagine. The Warlords were at a crossroads, and the path they chose would determine the fate of their world. With each passing moment, the weight of their decision grew heavier. They could only hope that their choice would lead to a brighter future, not just for themselves, but for all their people. Testing limits, the next morning, the Warlords' delegation returned from their meeting with the humans. The atmosphere in the grand hall was filled with nervous energy. General Zorak waited anxiously for the report. The Warlords and advisors gathered around, eager to hear what the delegation had learned. Commander Vrax and Warlord Drax took their places at the front of the room. Vrax began to speak, his voice steady but tense. The humans have shown us much of their technology. It is indeed impressive. However, we must understand its limits before we make any decisions. Drax nodded in agreement. The humans are willing to cooperate, but their technology seems to have capabilities beyond what we anticipated. We need to test it thoroughly to see how it performs under different conditions. Zorak listened carefully. How do you suggest we proceed with these tests? Vrax replied, we should set up a series of controlled tests. We can simulate various scenarios to see how the human technology responds. This will help us determine if it is truly as powerful as it appears. The Warlords agreed with this approach. They began planning a series of tests, each designed to push the limits of the human technology. The goal was to see how it performed under stress and in combat situations. The first test took place in a large open field outside the Warlords' stronghold. The humans set up a defensive perimeter using their technology. This included energy shields and advanced weaponry. The Warlords' soldiers, equipped with their own weapons, prepared to launch a series of attacks. As the test began, the Warlords watched from a safe distance. The humans activated their energy shields, which formed a glowing barrier around their equipment. When the Warlords' weapons fired, the shields absorbed the energy, leaving the humans unharmed. The Warlords were amazed. Their most powerful weapons had no effect on the human shields. The tests continued with different types of attacks, including explosives and high-powered lasers. Each time, the human technology held strong, effectively neutralizing the threats. Lady Rena, who was observing the tests, spoke with concern. The human's technology is more resilient than we imagined. If we are to rely on it, we need to understand how it works and how we might counteract it if necessary. Zorak agreed. We will conduct further tests to see if there are any weaknesses or limitations. It is crucial that we know everything about their technology before making any decisions. The next series of tests involved simulating a large-scale battle. The Warlords' soldiers engaged in combat with the human forces, using both traditional and advanced weaponry. The humans responded with coordinated tactics and efficient use of their technology. Despite their best efforts, the Warlords' soldiers struggled to gain an advantage. The humans' technology allowed them to quickly adapt to changing conditions, giving them a significant edge in the fight. The Warlords were impressed, but also worried about their own preparedness. After the tests, Zorak called a meeting with his advisors and Warlords. We have seen that the human technology is indeed formidable. Their defensive systems are nearly invulnerable, and their combat capabilities are highly effective. Warlord Goran, who had been skeptical of the humans from the start, grumbled, "We should be cautious. Their technology is powerful, but we don't know how it will perform in a real, unpredictable battle. There could be surprises." Drax added, "We must also consider how their technology might be used against us if negotiations fail. If we cannot find a way to counter it, we might be at a severe disadvantage." Lady Reyna suggested, "Perhaps we should explore ways to incorporate some of their technology into our own systems. We could learn from them and improve our own defenses and capabilities." Zorak nodded thoughtfully. "That is a wise suggestion. If we can understand and adapt their technology, we may be able to find a balance between cooperation and self-preservation." The Warlords agreed to pursue a dual approach, continue testing the human technology while also exploring possibilities for collaboration. They would work with the humans to learn from their advancements and find ways to integrate useful elements into their own systems. As the sun set over the alien planet, the warlords looked out at the results of their tests. The human technology had proven to be both advanced and resilient. The warlords now faced a critical decision: how to navigate the challenges and opportunities presented by this new technology. The future of their world depended on their ability to adapt and respond. The tests had shown the power of the human technology, but the warlords knew that understanding it fully would take time and effort. In the days that followed, the warlords and humans worked together to further explore and refine their technology. The cooperation was cautious but hopeful. The warlords began to see the potential benefits of working with the humans, even as they remained vigilant and prepared for any challenges that might arise. The tests had revealed much, but there was still much to learn. The warlords knew that their decisions would shape the future of their planet, and they were determined to approach the situation with wisdom and care. The journey was far from over, and the path ahead was filled with uncertainty. But the warlords were ready to face whatever came next, knowing that their choices would determine the fate of their world. The big fight, the tension on the alien planet, was palpable. After weeks of testing and negotiations, the situation had reached a breaking point. The warlords, feeling the pressure of the powerful human technology, had decided to act. They planned a large-scale battle to test their own strategies against the humans in a real combat situation. General Zorak stood on a high balcony overlooking the battlefield, his expression grim. The warlords had mobilized their entire army for this confrontation. They had prepared for every possible scenario, hoping to gain an advantage and understand the full extent of the human technology. Below, the battlefield was a sea of activity. Warlord Goran's troops were assembling their weapons and vehicles, preparing for the upcoming fight. The humans, aware of the looming conflict, had fortified their position. Their energy shields were deployed, and their advanced weaponry was ready. Commander Vrax and Warlord Drax, who had been leading the testing of the human technology, were now part of the strategy team. They had carefully studied the humans' tactics and equipment, and were determined to find a way to overcome them. Today, we will see if our strategies can break through their defenses, Vrax said, his voice filled with determination. We must find their weaknesses and exploit them. Drax nodded. We've observed their technology, but we still don't fully understand its limits. This battle will give us a clearer picture. As the sun rose, the battlefield came alive with activity. The warlords' forces moved into position, their vehicles rumbling across the terrain. The humans were equally prepared, their forces spread out and ready for the fight. The battle began with a loud roar as the warlords' artillery opened fire. Explosions lit up the sky as the warlords launched their attack, aiming at the human defenses. The ground shook with the force of the bombardment. The humans responded quickly. Their energy shields absorbed the incoming blasts, and their defensive systems activated to intercept the projectiles. The warlords watched in amazement as their most powerful weapons had little effect on the human defenses. General Zorak watched from his command center, observing the battle with a mix of frustration and curiosity. The humans were proving to be more formidable than he had anticipated. Their technology seemed almost invincible, repelling every attack with ease. Despite the odds, the warlords pressed on. They deployed their most advanced weapons and tactics, launching a series of coordinated assaults. The battle was fierce, with both sides giving their all. The air was filled with the sounds of combat, explosions, laser blasts, and the shouts of soldiers. Commander Vrax, leading a squad of elite troops, maneuvered through the battlefield. He directed his forces to focus on flanking the human positions, hoping to find a way through their defenses. "Keep pushing forward!" he shouted to his troops. "Find a way to breach their shields." The warlords' forces made some progress, breaching a small section of the human defenses. But the humans quickly adapted, reinforcing their positions and counterattacking with precision. Their technology allowed them to respond swiftly and effectively to the warlords' strategies. Warlord Goran, watching the battle unfold, was growing increasingly frustrated. "We need to find their weak points," he growled. "Our attacks are not breaking through. They are too well prepared." Lady Rena, who had been observing from a safe distance, suggested, "Perhaps we need to rethink our approach. Instead of attacking head-on, we should consider different tactics. We might find success by using diversionary strategies or targeting their support systems." The battle raged on, with neither side gaining a clear advantage. The Warlords' forces continued their assault, while the humans held their ground with skill and determination. The fight was proving to be a test of endurance and adaptability. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the battlefield, the intensity of the battle showed no signs of easing. Both sides were exhausted, but neither was willing to back down. General Zorak, seeing the toll the battle was taking on his forces, made a decision. "Call a temporary ceasefire," he ordered. "We need to reassess our strategy and regroup." The ceasefire was called, and both sides withdrew to their respective positions. The battlefield was filled with the sounds of soldiers catching their breath and tending to their wounded. The temporary lull in fighting allowed both sides to reflect on the day's events. Zorak met with his top advisors and warlords to discuss the battle. "The humans are incredibly resilient," he said. "Their technology is more advanced than we imagined. We need to consider our next steps carefully." Lady Rena spoke up. "We have seen their strength, but we must also recognize their potential. If we can find a way to work together, we might achieve a balance that benefits both sides." The warlords agreed that the battle had shown the power of the human technology, but also the need for further consideration. The conflict had been intense, but it had also opened the door to new possibilities. As night fell, the warlords and humans began to negotiate terms for the future. The battle had proven that both sides were formidable, but it had also shown that cooperation might be a viable path forward. The journey was far from over, but the warlords now faced a new chapter in their relationship with the humans. The fight had been fierce, but it had also been a learning experience. The future of their world depended on their ability to adapt and find common ground. The warlords were ready to face the challenges ahead, knowing that their choices would shape the destiny of their planet. Warlords in trouble. As the dust from the recent battle settled, the alien warlords faced a growing crisis. The fierce combat had taken a heavy toll on their forces. Supplies were running low and morale was sinking. The humans had proven to be not only powerful, but also highly skilled in defense and tactics. General Zorak paced back and forth in his command center, his face lined with worry. His advisors and warlords had gathered for an urgent meeting. The atmosphere was tense, with everyone feeling the weight of the recent events. "We've suffered significant losses," Zorak said, his voice filled with frustration. "Our forces are depleted and our resources are nearly exhausted. We must find a solution quickly or risk losing everything." Warlord Goran, who had been frustrated with the battle's outcome, spoke up. "We underestimated the humans. Their technology is more advanced than we thought. We need to rethink our strategy, or we could face complete defeat." Lady Rena, who had been studying the situation closely, nodded in agreement. "The humans are not just fighting us, they are showing remarkable resilience and adaptability. We need to understand their tactics better and find a way to counter them effectively." Commander Vrax, who had been part of the recent battle, added, "We also need to consider the possibility that the humans might take advantage of our current weakness. If they launch another attack, we could be in even greater trouble." Zorak's expression grew more serious. "We need to address our immediate problems. First, we must secure more resources and reinforcements. Second, we need to reassess our approach to the humans. We cannot afford to repeat the same mistakes." The warlords agreed to send out scouts to find new sources of resources and allies. They also decided to conduct a thorough review of their strategies and prepare for any potential threats. Meanwhile, the humans were not idle. They had noticed the warlords' struggles and were preparing for their next move. Sarah, one of the human engineers, was working with her team to analyze the recent battle and find ways to improve their defenses. "We need to stay ahead of the warlords," Sarah said to her team. "They are a formidable opponent, and we must be ready for whatever they throw at us. Let's review our data and see if there are any weaknesses we can exploit or strengthen." The human team worked tirelessly, analyzing the data from the battle and making adjustments to their technology. They were determined to maintain their advantage and avoid any surprises from the warlords. Back in the Warlords' stronghold, the situation was becoming more desperate. Supplies were arriving slowly, and reinforcements were not yet in sight. The Warlords faced mounting pressure from their people, who were growing anxious about the ongoing conflict. Lady Reyna approached General Zorak with a proposal. Perhaps we should consider opening a dialogue with the humans. If we can negotiate a truce or even an alliance, it might help us stabilize our situation and find a way forward. Zorak looked thoughtful. A truce could be beneficial, but it's risky. We have already fought a fierce battle, and trust is in short supply. We need to be careful and ensure that any negotiations are conducted with caution. Despite the risks, the Warlords decided to initiate contact with the humans. They sent a message requesting a meeting to discuss possible terms for a ceasefire and future cooperation. The message was clear. They were open to dialogue and hoped to find a solution that would benefit both sides. The humans, recognizing the opportunity, agreed to the meeting. Sarah and her team prepared to negotiate with the Warlords. They wanted to address the ongoing conflict and explore possibilities for a peaceful resolution. The meeting took place in a neutral zone between the two camps. General Zorak and Lady Reyna met with Sarah and other human representatives. The atmosphere was tense but hopeful, as both sides sought a way to end the conflict and find common ground. Zorak began the meeting. We have faced significant challenges, and our recent battles have shown the strength of your technology. We are open to discussing a truce and exploring ways to work together. Sarah nodded. We have also seen the determination of your forces. We are willing to negotiate a ceasefire and look for opportunities to cooperate. Let's work towards a solution that benefits both our people. The negotiations were complex and took several hours. Both sides presented their concerns and proposals, trying to find a middle ground. The discussions were challenging, but there was a shared desire to avoid further conflict and find a path forward. As the meeting concluded, both sides agreed to a temporary ceasefire. They would continue their discussions and work on building a foundation for cooperation. The ceasefire would allow both sides to regroup and address their immediate issues. Back at the Warlords' stronghold, Zorak and his team breathed a sigh of relief. The ceasefire was a step toward stability, but the road ahead was still uncertain. They needed to build trust with the humans and find a way to work together effectively. The humans, too, faced their own challenges. They needed to ensure that the ceasefire held and that both sides honored their agreements. The negotiations were just the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship with the Warlords. As the days passed, the ceasefire allowed both sides to focus on rebuilding and preparing for the future. The conflict had shown them the limits of their current strategies and the potential for cooperation. The Warlords and humans were now at a crossroads. The choices they made in the coming days would determine the future of their world. With the ceasefire in place, they had a chance to address their issues and work towards a more stable and peaceful future. The road ahead was still fraught with challenges, but the ceasefire marked the beginning of a new era. Both sides were ready to face the uncertainties and opportunities that lay ahead, knowing that their decisions would shape the destiny of their people. Turning point, the temporary ceasefire between the Warlords and the humans had brought a fragile peace, but both sides knew that it was just the beginning. The next few days were crucial as they worked to rebuild trust and explore possibilities for a lasting resolution. General Zorak and Sarah, along with their respective teams, were meeting regularly to discuss terms and negotiate future cooperation. The ceasefire had given them a chance to step back from the battlefield and focus on finding common ground. In the Warlord's stronghold, Zorak was deep in thought. The recent battles had shown him the strength of the human technology, but they had also highlighted the need for a new approach. He knew that continuing the conflict would only lead to more losses and destruction. Lady Reyna, who had been advocating for cooperation, approached Zorak with a new proposal. We need to show the humans that we are serious about working together. Perhaps we could start by sharing some of our own technology and resources. This could help build trust and open the door to more meaningful negotiations. Zorak considered her words. Sharing our technology is a significant step, but if it helps us find common ground and build a stronger partnership, it may be worth the risk. Let's discuss this with the humans and see if they are open to the idea. Meanwhile, Sarah and her team were preparing for a new round of talks. The humans had been impressed by the Warlords' willingness to negotiate, but were cautious about making any commitments. They wanted to ensure that any agreement was fair and beneficial for both sides. Sarah met with her team to review their strategy. We need to approach the next round of negotiations with openness and flexibility. The Warlords have shown a willingness to cooperate, and we should take this opportunity to strengthen our relationship. As the negotiations resumed, Zorak and Sarah presented their proposals. The Warlords offered to share some of their technology and resources in exchange for further cooperation and support from the humans. They also proposed a joint project to develop new technologies that could benefit both sides. Sarah was intrigued by the proposal but wanted to ensure that the terms were clear and equitable. If we agree to this, we need to establish a framework for how we will share and collaborate. We should also address any concerns both sides might have about security and technology exchange. The discussions were detailed and thorough. Both sides worked to address their concerns and outline the terms of their cooperation. They agreed to set up joint teams to... The turning point came when Zorak and Sarah reached an agreement on a key issue. They decided to focus on a joint project that would develop a new energy shield system, combining the best aspects of both their technologies. This project had the potential to revolutionize their defenses and pave the way for deeper collaboration. The announcement of the joint project was met with excitement and optimism on both sides. The new energy shield system represented a tangible benefit that could help improve security and strengthen their partnership. It also marked a significant shift from conflict to cooperation. The Warlords and humans began working together on the project, with scientists and engineers from both sides collaborating on the design and development. The joint teams faced challenges, but were determined to succeed. They shared their knowledge and expertise, learning from each other and finding innovative solutions. As the project progressed, the relationship between the Warlords and humans grew stronger. They began to see each other not just as enemies or rivals, but as partners working towards a common goal. The sense of camaraderie and mutual respect deepened. General Zorak and Sarah continued to lead their respective teams, overseeing the progress of the joint project. They held regular meetings to review the results and address any issues that arose. The project was on track to achieve its goals, and the collaboration was proving to be successful. The new energy shield system was nearing completion, and the first tests were highly promising. Both sides were impressed by the results, which exceeded their expectations. The system demonstrated improved performance and efficiency, showcasing the benefits of their collaboration. With the success of the project, the Warlords and humans were able to negotiate a more formal agreement for ongoing cooperation. They outlined plans for future joint projects and established a framework for continued collaboration. The agreement included provisions for regular communication and coordination to ensure that both sides could address any issues that might arise. The turning point in their relationship had been reached. The joint project had not only strengthened their partnership, but had also laid the groundwork for a more stable and cooperative future. The Warlords and humans were now working together towards a shared vision of progress and mutual benefit. As the sun set over the alien planet, the mood was one of hope and anticipation. The challenges they had faced had brought them closer together, and the future looked promising. Both sides were committed to building a better relationship and finding ways to overcome any obstacles that might come their way. The journey was far from over, but the progress they had made was a significant achievement. The turning point had set them on a path towards a brighter future, and they were ready to face the challenges and opportunities that lay ahead. With each step, they moved closer to a new era of cooperation and understanding. The Warlords and humans had come a long way from their initial conflict, and their partnership was now a symbol of what could be achieved through determination and collaboration. Surrender and change. As the new energy shield system neared completion, the atmosphere between the Warlords and humans began to change. The successful joint project had created a sense of mutual respect and hope. Yet, the Warlords faced a growing realization. They could no longer sustain the conflict or ignore the benefits of cooperation. General Zorak and Sarah, both deeply involved in the project, had been working tirelessly to ensure its success. They had seen firsthand how collaboration could lead to impressive results. The successful tests of the new shield system had only strengthened their resolve to pursue peace. The Warlords, meanwhile, were feeling the pressure of their dwindling resources and mounting losses. The recent battles had left their forces weakened, and their people were growing weary of the ongoing conflict. The prospect of a new era of cooperation with the humans seemed increasingly appealing. In the Warlords' command center, Zorak called a meeting with his top advisors and warlords. The room was filled with a somber mood as they reviewed their current situation. The recent success of the joint project had highlighted the benefits of working together, but the warlords still faced difficult choices. Warlord Goran spoke first. "The humans have shown us the value of cooperation. Their technology has proven to be more advanced than ours, and our own resources are running low. We need to consider a new approach." Lady Rena nodded in agreement. The joint project has been a success, and it has demonstrated the potential for a better future. Continuing the conflict will only lead to more suffering and losses. It's time to think about surrendering and making a real change. The decision to surrender was not easy for the warlords. They had been fierce fighters and leaders, and admitting defeat was a significant shift. But the reality of their situation left them with few options. They needed to adapt or face complete destruction. Zorak sent a message to Sarah and the human leaders, requesting a formal meeting to discuss the terms of surrender and future cooperation. The message was clear. The warlords were ready to end the conflict and explore a new path together. Sarah received the message with a mix of relief and cautious optimism. She and her team prepared for the meeting, hoping to build on the progress they had made and establish a framework for a peaceful resolution. The meeting took place in a neutral location, chosen to symbolize a fresh start. General Zorak, Lady Rena, and other warlords met with Sarah and her team. The atmosphere was tense but hopeful as both sides prepared to discuss the terms of surrender and cooperation. Zorak began the meeting. "We have faced many challenges, and our recent experiences have shown us the value of working together. We are ready to surrender and end the conflict. We seek to build a new relationship with the humans based on mutual respect and cooperation." Sarah responded, "We appreciate your willingness to seek peace. Our goal is to create a partnership that benefits both sides. We will work to ensure that the terms of surrender are fair and that we establish a foundation for lasting cooperation." The negotiations were detailed and focused on creating a balanced agreement. Both sides worked to address their concerns and outline the terms of the surrender and future collaboration. The discussions included provisions for rebuilding and supporting each other as they transitioned from conflict to cooperation. One key aspect of the agreement was the establishment of joint committees to oversee the implementation of the new technologies and to monitor the progress of their partnership. These committees would ensure that both sides worked together effectively and addressed any issues that arose. The agreement also included terms for sharing resources and knowledge, as well as plans for joint projects that would continue to benefit both sides. The goal was to create a relationship built on trust and mutual benefit. As the meeting concluded, both sides signed the agreement, marking the official end of the conflict and the beginning of a new chapter in their relationship. The signing ceremony was a symbolic moment, representing a commitment to peace and cooperation. The warlords and humans celebrated the agreement, marking the end of a difficult period and the start of a hopeful future. The transition from conflict to cooperation was a significant achievement, and both sides were determined to make it a success. In the weeks that followed, the focus shifted to implementing the terms of the agreement. The warlords began the process of integrating their technology and resources with those of the humans. Joint teams worked on various projects, and the two sides collaborated on new initiatives. The changes brought about by the agreement had a profound impact. The warlords' people began to see the benefits of cooperation, and the tensions that had once divided them started to fade. The sense of unity and shared purpose grew stronger as they worked together towards common goals. General Zorak and Sarah continued to lead their respective teams, ensuring that the new partnership was successful. They remained committed to building a lasting relationship based on trust and collaboration. As time passed, the Warlords and humans found themselves moving forward together. The conflict had been a challenging chapter, but the surrender and subsequent cooperation had paved the way for a brighter future. Both sides were now focused on creating a new era of peace and prosperity. The journey was far from over, but the path ahead was filled with promise. The surrender and change had marked a turning point, and the future was now open to new possibilities. The Warlords and humans were ready to face whatever challenges came their way, knowing that they had the strength and determination to build a better world together. A new beginning. The end of the conflict marked a significant change for both the Warlords and the humans. The signing of the surrender agreement had set the stage for a new era of cooperation and partnership. The days that followed were filled with both challenges and hope as they began to build their new future together. General Zorak and Sarah, now symbols of the new alliance, worked tirelessly to implement the terms of the agreement. Their teams were busy integrating technologies, sharing knowledge, and starting joint projects. The goal was clear: to create a successful partnership that would benefit both sides and ensure lasting peace. Lady Reyna addressed a gathering of warlords and soldiers. "We have entered a new era. Our previous ways of fighting in conflict are behind us. It is time to focus on building and growing together. This is our chance to create a better future for all." The soldiers, once wary and uncertain, were beginning to embrace the change. They saw the benefits of cooperation and the potential for a more stable and prosperous future. The mood in the stronghold was shifting from one of tension to one of optimism and excitement. On the human side, Sarah and her team were also adjusting to the new reality. They were working closely with the Warlords to ensure that the transition was smooth and that both sides could adapt to their new partnership. Sarah met with her team in their command center. "Our collaboration with the Warlords has already shown great results. The joint projects are progressing well, and we are seeing the benefits of our new technologies. We need to keep up this momentum and continue working together." The human team members nodded in agreement. They were excited about the possibilities and committed to making the partnership a success. The challenges of the past were now behind them, and they were focused on the opportunities that lay ahead. One of the first major projects was the development of a new research facility where scientists from both sides could work together. The facility would focus on advancing technology and finding solutions to common problems. It was a symbol of their commitment to collaboration and progress. The construction of the facility began with enthusiasm. Engineers and builders from both sides worked side by side, creating a state-of-the-art center that would serve as a hub for innovation. The project was a tangible sign of the new partnership and a source of pride for everyone involved. As the new facility took shape, the Warlords and humans also focused on improving their social and cultural interactions. They organized events and activities to build mutual understanding and strengthen their relationship. These gatherings allowed them to learn about each other's cultures and traditions, fostering a sense of community and shared purpose. General Zorak and Sarah attended a cultural exchange event where members of both sides shared their music, food, and stories. It was a joyful occasion, filled with laughter and celebration. The event helped break down barriers and build connections between the Warlords and humans. In the days that followed, the new energy shield system was fully operational. It was a major achievement, demonstrating the success of their collaboration. The system provided enhanced protection and showcased the benefits of combining their technologies. The success of the joint projects and the positive changes in their relationship led to growing optimism. The Warlords and humans were seeing the fruits of their cooperation and were inspired to continue working together. The future was looking brighter, and both sides were eager to build on their achievements. As the new beginning unfolded, General Zorak and Sarah reflected on the journey that had brought them to this point. They had faced many challenges and overcome significant obstacles, but their commitment to peace and cooperation had guided them through. Zorak looked out over the new research facility, a sense of pride in his heart. "We have come a long way from the days of conflict. Our new partnership holds great promise, and I am confident that we will continue to make progress and achieve our goals." Sarah smiled, feeling a sense of fulfillment. "Our collaboration has shown us what we can achieve when we work together. The future is full of possibilities, and I am excited to see what we can accomplish." The Warlords and humans were now embarking on a new chapter in their history. The challenges of the past were behind them, and they were focused on building a better future. The new beginning represented a fresh start and a chance to create a lasting legacy of peace and cooperation. As the sun set on their shared world, General Zorak and Sarah looked forward to the journey ahead. They knew that there would be more challenges to face, but they were ready to meet them together. The bond they had forged and the progress they had made were a testament to the power of collaboration and the promise of a brighter future. The new beginning was not just about the projects and technologies, it was about the people and the relationships they had built. The Warlords and humans had found common ground and were working towards a shared vision of progress and prosperity. Their partnership was a beacon of hope, shining brightly as they stepped into their new era.